want to talk about Mary for a minute. There's a lot of confusion with why Catholics give so much of their love and veneration to Mary. Some people within the church don't really even quite understand why we love and come to Mary so much, but certainly outside the church, there's people who don't really understand why Catholics treat her with such respect and come to her so often in prayer. A lot of people think that we're worshiping her, and that really couldn't be further from the truth. We want to try and explain that, what we really think of Mary to people and why we come to her, but we want to use familiar analogies to them. So let's try and think about one. I want you to look down at your keyboard if you happen to be watching this on a computer. What does the Shift key do on your keyboard? Well, it magnifies what you're typing, right? It's sort of a hidden force that when you press it down, it turns the letters you're typing to capital letters. Well, let's break away from your keyboard for a second. What is it that Mary said once in the gospel when she said, "My soul doth magnify the Lord"? Think about the Shift key. It magnifies the letters that we type. So think about the word Christ written in all lowercase. If you were to hold down the Shift key, it's going to turn that same word, but it's going to make it capital. All those letters are going to become capital letters. But it doesn't change the spelling. It doesn't all of a sudden spell Christ with a K. It doesn't affect the integrity of the word. Now, that's a good analogy because Jesus is the Word of God. And so it's Mary that magnifies that union, that love that we have for Jesus. She doesn't pollute it. She doesn't get in the way of our worship of Jesus. And so we're not worshiping her. Now, another key on your keyboard is the caps lock key. And that is much like the Shift key, right? It magnifies, it amplifies the letters that you type. But it's a little bit different because you just have to hit it once and it'll continue to magnify those letters until you're finished and you want to take the caps lock key off. So it's a little bit different than the Shift key, right? You don't have to hold it down. Well, to continue with this analogy of finding Mary on our keyboards, imagine that pressing the caps lock key is like doing a consecration to Mary. You're giving her all your love and your good works and your deeds, and you're telling her to, for a period of time, maybe it's a year, maybe it's 2 or 3 years, you're giving her everything so that she can give it to Jesus and make your love for him more whole. And so we try and find these familiar ways to teach people about Mary and what she does for us. So the next time you're trying to tell someone about Mary, think of her as like being the Shift key or the caps lock key on your keyboard, and how she magnifies our union with Christ, and she magnifies that love and amplifies it. Remember, she said this herself, "My soul doth magnify the Lord." And so try and use a familiar analogy like that to help people understand why we love Mary and venerate her so much. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time.